Good morning. I am excited about my guest today on Relo Talk. I'm going to give people a few minutes to log in and join us for our conversation today. But I'm super excited to be joined by one of my favorite people in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, Aaron Flores. He is the president of Victory Relo. He's going to be on here in a minute, and his primary focus is apartment locating, in addition to services that a relocation employee needs before, during, and after they move to a new city. Prior to that, he was founder of Champion Relocation, and built his relocation company from the ground up, serving companies like Southwest Airlines, Monarch Dental, and Lockheed Martin. And he became their go-to source for apartment locating and real estate transactions for new employees coming to the Dallas-Fort Worth area. He has since taken that experience in his prior years as a real estate provider to build and grow Victory Relo. And I love his passion, and you're going to meet him and learn about his passion and the way he serves clients. He is joined by one of his business partners, Annie Carolla. She is the director of global talent acquisition at the international design firm HKS, and uses her 20 years of experience in the field of architecture, engineering, and construction to stay competitive by identifying and attracting strong talent in the evolving talent landscape. I love how she leads her firm's efforts to connect people to their communities, the campuses. She mentors students and influences the next generation of designers. And I love her understanding of the importance of building authentic relationships, collaborating in order to cultivate partnerships and implement sustainable initiatives. And I especially appreciate how she understands the importance of onboarding that new talent, making sure they find home in Dallas. And that's one of the reasons why she has gotten connected to Aaron Flores and uses him because they tend to do more lump sum relocations to ensure that these onboarded hires get connected in Dallas, especially when they're looking to find an apartment. So I'm going to bring them on here. Hang on one second. Welcome, Aaron.
Hello, Miss Lindy. How are we doing today?
I'm good. How about y'all?
Good.
Good. Thanks, everybody that's joining in. If you would let us know where you're joining from and any tips you have for people for finding home, especially if you're the relocation industry, let us know. I know we've got Paris here, we have London, we have Lynn Greenberg in New York City with Pivot, Victoria McCullough, who is right there in Dallas. Thanks so much, everybody, for joining us, and we would love to have you comment, connect, and send any questions that you might have. So. Well, thank you so much for being here. Aaron, I'm excited to have you here. I miss being in Dallas. I miss your restaurant recommendations.
I miss you. I'm waiting for a phone call that you're going to be in town so we can go grab some food.
I'm in September, so I will definitely keep you posted. And Annie, thanks so much. And you're still working from home, I assume?
Yes, still 100% virtual.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah.
And you've got kids at home too?
Yes, so we started the remote learning as well. So school is in session.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, it's all happening all at the same time.
That's not easy.
But we're doing it.
Well, thanks so much. And Amy Jacobs has joined us. Lachelle has joined us. Hey, Lachelle, how are you? You mentioned that Annie was a super mom. And, I kind of pride myself on being a super mom too, Annie. Lachelle has 15 children, and she has dubbed herself as America's Supermom. Wow. Yeah, she does a great podcast. Definitely connect with her after this is over. Yeah, I don't know how she does it. She's amazing.
Amazing.
She's amazing. So I want to start by this. So really, this conversation is about the challenges of moving to a new city. I moved to Dallas-Fort Worth after having lived in Europe for 4 years. Truly, out of our 10 or so corporate relocations, it was one of the hardest moves I've ever had. Because it's just an overwhelming city. And I wasn't sure about Dallas, right? Texas has a lot of stereotypes. I wasn't a real big fan of moving to Texas. I'm not a big fan of barbecue. Just didn't feel like it was going to be my scene. I wish I had known somebody like Aaron that has a love for Texas, or somebody who had onboarded my husband that understood the importance of me getting connected to the right real estate agent. And that's really what our conversation is about today. The importance of the people on the hiring side, HR, relocation providers, understanding what that onboarded, not just that onboarded employee needs, but what the entire family needs. So I love what both of you are doing and the way you've partnered together. And I have talked long enough. So let's start with my first question. First of all, I want to know why you, and I love the Dallas Regional Chamber's hashtag campaign. Why did you say, if I can find my little hashtag, say yes to Dallas? Why should companies say yes to Dallas, and why are employees saying yes to Dallas?
I got to give a lot of props to the Dallas Regional Chamber for putting this together. Putting this together, their slogan and whole campaign of say yes to Dallas. I've partnered with them. I'm a member of the chamber, and they've done a tremendous job of going about promoting the city and everything it has to offer. In two different directions. One, they're going after companies and showing the benefits of moving to Texas and moving to Dallas specifically. And then the Say Yes to Dallas campaign is specifically geared towards individuals moving to the Dallas area. And it's hard to say no to Dallas. The cost of living here is substantially better compared to when you look at West Coast, East Coast. It's a lot. You get a lot more for your money. Jobs in general, tech jobs. We are now in the top 2 or 3 for tech jobs in the state and also in the nation. So I think growth-wise and opportunity-wise, Dallas is just a great place to call home. Another reason on the job side is when you have individuals and families moving into the area, giving your spouse the opportunity to look at other avenues and continue their career. There's a lot more options here in Dallas as well. So say yes to Dallas. I'm all about it. I love it.
I love it. Yeah, I do too. I think it's a great campaign, and I learned and quickly learned after it took me about a year to get settled, and that's another long story and a lot of the reason behind why I'm doing this. But I love going around Dallas and talking about all the reasons, especially why entrepreneurs and business owners, small business owners, should consider moving there. What about you, Annie? I mean, you're with a big global company. Y'all have offices literally all over the world. I know you're trying to attract top talent in the architecture and construction industry, design industry. How do you get people to say yes to Dallas?
Like Aaron said, there is a huge draw to Dallas, and I think there's a lot of stereotypes, misconceptions, information, things you see on TV, right? But when you think about all the advantages of being in this kind of city, and there's so many different pockets and types of neighborhoods, that we just have always felt like there is a little bit of something here for everybody. If you want to be a little bit more out in the country and have, space and land, you can still do that within reach and still work in downtown Dallas. If you want a more suburban type of neighborhood or upbringing for your kids, something like that, there's more than enough options for you to look at with, wonderful school systems and just a lot more there than meets the eye. And Aaron has always been really great about talking about what those advantages are and kind of spreading the good word there.
Aaron, I removed from the screen. I did not move from the screen. I apologize.
It's all good. It's all good.
That's great. I appreciate you sharing that. I want to talk a little bit because I love how you've partnered with Aaron, but the importance of partnering with the right relocation professionals and resources. I tell the story, and I told the story yesterday when I was promoting this, that we moved to Boston from Dallas in January. I was looking for places to live. I sold my home. We sold a 5-bedroom home in the suburbs in December. And we wanted to try something different when we moved here. I've had 4 kids. We've been in the suburbs, and I wanted to live in the city in a high rise. And so I specifically asked the relocation coordinator to connect me with a real estate agent that could help us find a rental for a year in the city. And it was very specific. And I told her, I really need somebody that gets that. And I didn't say I need somebody that really understands the emotions of moving. But I really did need somebody that understood that. And not, especially, not knowing, in hindsight, knowing COVID happened, it would have been a really nice thing to have had somebody that was available and checking up on me after everything shut down. But she connected me with a great real estate agent. He was super nice, but he was a suburban residential single family home specialist, and I wasn't buying. And that really, I wish I'd had an Aaron Flores, somebody to connect me, because he didn't understand the rental market. We ended up we had a day that they were paying for us to be with him. And I ended up having to find our own place, because what he was showing me versus what my vision, what I wanted, were not the same thing. So again, long story short, it's so important to make sure, if you're in the relocation industry, or if you're head of the VP of relocation at a brokerage, to make sure that those employees get connected to the right agent. Annie, how did you intuitively know to hook up with Aaron and provide that service to your new hires?
So I can tell you a little bit of the story. We initially were hiring a number of new graduates right out of school from a variety of different schools all over the place. And what we kind of identified was that there was a gap that existed, because we continued to be asked similar questions around, what neighborhoods would be great for us to move into, or can you recommend an apartment that's nearby? And as phenomenal as my team is, we are not wonderful relocation specialists. So we identified that was a real gap, but we also identified that there was an opportunity there. And it meant that if we could find a partnership with somebody who not only understood the area, but could really handle our new talent with care and compassion, there is an emotional component to it. And, after meeting Aaron, you quickly understand, you meet him and you see that there is this gregarious person. He's got a lot of energy, and you can tell he wants your business, but not in a self-serving kind of way. He wants your business to help you actually find the place that you love, and that makes sense for you. And it really is not about him. And I will say that was one of the things that I loved when he and I met. You could ascertain that very, very quickly, that it was all about the client and meeting the client's needs. So it did become a good opportunity for us. And we did discover that, there were a lot of advantages to the firm by partnering with someone like Aaron, because we could direct people to him directly without being a middle person in that process. Aaron also was great enough to create a webpage that was specific to HKS.
Oh, wow.
And that made it look seamless. We could direct people to that immediately. They could get in touch with him, and it was 100% optional, without any cost to the firm or that individual. So it was such a win-win opportunity. And in addition to that, he always had great follow-up. He would let us know how it went. He'd tell us anecdotally kind of what happened. And so we could learn from all of those experiences, and then feel a lot of confidence that he was continuing to be the right person for us to send our amazing talent to.
Yeah, that's Victoria's comments on the relocation company. She comments that she wish she had known Aaron back then. So,
very, very, very kind words. Very kind words. I did want to say, it's just a situation where, one thing that I remember from when we first started, helping your new hires was, one thing you guys offered was, you offered a free train ride using the DART rail system, trying to entice individuals to do that. So that was one of my tasks, talking to the individuals that were relocating. They're like, you know what? I know you guys have, a free, you're able to use the DART for free. Is that something you want to utilize? So we can look at, different various properties in different areas. So you can just hop on the train, do what you need to do. And I remember the stop was, literally right across the street from your office. And I think it's still like that to today. And that's great that you guys did that. But I mean, it's always about finding different solutions and offering, the best, just the best opportunities for them to feel comfortable. They're coming into a new city. And, I always say that I'm everybody's first friend when they're coming into Dallas. I'm like, look, when you come to town, I'm your first friend. Do you want barbecue or do you want Mexican food? Because after we look at apartments, we're going to go eat. So, we got to,
That's huge. I had an agent one time, and I was about 6 months pregnant, and she showed me houses all day. I'd flown in I had to go find her, and I had a rental car, so I was driving myself. She drives me around, shows me homes all day, and then she says goodbye to me. I was starving. She never fed me. And that's important, right?
It is.
It also gives
Yeah.
you an idea too of like, because you've got Deep Ellum, you've got Uptown, you have Frisco, you have Southlake, you have Fort Worth, you have all these different areas. I might pick a place based on kind of the restaurant vibe, the social vibe that's going on in that city. It's important, and I love that about you, Erin, because you really have a pulse on that. I know there's several other people on here. Amy Jacobs is on here. She specializes on relocation, mainly single-family residential, I think, in the Dallas area, and rentals too. But she understands that, and Erin understands that. And I've sent numerous clients to Erin, people that are relocating, people that are just moving apartments, because he understands that apartment market. He understands the culture of living in one apartment building versus the next, and they're different.
Exactly. Yeah.
I'll underscore that even more. Yeah.
If
You've always been great about that context, Erin.
If you're a runner, you got to be by the Katy Trail. If you want this, it's just all, it's all in what their lifestyle is, and that's what I try to really accomplish. There's a new apartment, a building being built every week on every block in Dallas Fort Worth, and there's some differences and there's a lot of similarities, but what it comes down to is is it going to fit your lifestyle? Is it across the street from the ramen joint that you absolutely love, or is it next to the park and next to a friend that you live next to? It's just it's the little pieces that makes everything better when they come work. When they come in to day number one working for you, Annie, the stress level. I mean, that's probably what I hear the most is my phone calls. The stress level going from here to here. But when they start their job, they're ready to go. They're ready to work. They're not worried about where am I going to live, or I got to look at apartments later. Can I get off at 5:30 exactly to go look at apartments? They're ready to go. They're ready to go 100% with the new position.
And it's stressful, and it's very helpful to know too. I mean, like, again, having just moved to Boston and having looked at Back Bay versus downtown Boston versus Seaport, to kind of understand the differences between living at those places. Lynn Greenberg comments, there's no better first friend than Erin. And I love what Lynn is doing with Pivot. And definitely, Annie, that's something that maybe HKS would be interested in, because it's a way to connect employees. But more importantly than the employees, it's that spouse, it's that partner. It's making sure that that spouse finds the right schools for their kids and the connections that they need in order to, because the husband or the wife that's moving with the job, they have a place to belong. That spouse, that partner, they don't have a place to belong. They don't know where they belong. It's hard to get connected. It took me 6 months to get connected. It took me 6 months, and it was hard. And also, my son ended up in 3 different schools because I didn't have the people to ask to find out where the IB school was. And my real estate agent didn't know it. I wasn't connected to an Amy Jacobs or somebody that really focused on international relocation, or my friend Angela Buchan, who's an agent in Dallas and knows Dallas inside and out. And she's also been a relocation client and has lived in London, has lived in Frankfurt. That makes a huge difference for that person that's moving to get them connected. And when you understand this, Annie, if your company's paying a lot of money to onboard this new talent, and what is the saying? If a happy spouse, happy house, you've got to make sure the entire family, the entire unit is onboarded successfully.
We do think about it in a very experiential way. And try to think about it in a 360 kind of way as well, that it's not just about that individual, but this impacts a lot of people. So there's a lot of connectedness that we have to think through regarding that.
Lachelle asked a great question. She says, what are your tips for connecting with your clients, or in Annie's case, with your new hires? How can we actively listen? Can either one of you give me an example of how you do that? Because a lot of times I think we assume, right? We put ourselves in somebody's shoes and we assume from our own experiences.
I'll tackle it for sure. As far as connecting with my clients, I'm really old school. I know getting initial contact, especially with the younger generations, texting, they'll respond really, really quickly to a text message. Yes, I received your information, or yes, you can send me some apartments, or you can do this or that. But I really like to get them on the phone and talk to them and ask the questions. I get it. Your start date is 30 days from now, or whatever the case may be. But tell me what's going on in your life. Like, what do you like to do? So I really try to get them on the phone. That's really important to me because I feel like I get a connection. And then the next question I like to ask when it's non-COVID times is many times individuals will take a trip, and they'll do a trip for a day or a day and a half. And so walking them through the process and let them know that they're not just going to tour the city or roam the city, rather, that I'll schedule that day out. Let's schedule it right now, and that day belongs to you. We'll have everything narrowed down by then. When I pick you up, you'll know exactly what we're looking at, where we're going, what neighborhood. Everything's down to the T. And by then, it's just a matter of having fun. It's getting to know that individual better, looking at places, and enjoying the day.
And that's so, and I would say Annie seems to get that intuitively. I think that's so important. Again, I've had some great agents, so I don't mean to knock agents. And I always say it wasn't that I didn't have a great agent. I just didn't have the right agent. They didn't have the right time. Even moving here, I was given an agent. I had an agent that was assigned to me. I had 8 hours that the company was willing to pay for. And that's another long story about some of the challenges with relocation. But he had 2 hours for me one day, 3 hours the next, and a couple of hours the next day. That wasn't what I needed, right? That's not. So make sure if you're a relocation provider, or if you're just managing real estate agents in a brokerage, make sure that agent matches up with what that client needs. It's so key. It's so important. What about your favorite relocation story? Like, I always call it the good, the bad, and the ugly, because I've experienced a little bit of everything. But just a way that you have either been able to help an employee, or a time that you've seen something go really wrong that could have been corrected with the right knowledge or the right resources.
I'm sure you've got something great, Aaron.
I don't. I thought about this. I try to think of like the worst story, but I think it's I don't know. My favorite stories are honestly, I think it goes back to why I got in relocation. Mm-hmm. And why I got in, there's so many different facets and avenues of real estate, but what's drawn me to relocation specifically is that phone call. When you talk to somebody and they just sound defeated. They're like, I have a lump sum. I start in 35 days, or I start in 40 days. I'm freaking out. I got to sell my house. I got to pack. I got to find a mover. I don't know where I'm going to live. I don't know this. They're just sound defeated. And having that phone call conversation of, you know what, I have your back. I'm going to help you find a place to live. I can't take everything off your plate, but I'm going to take as much as I possibly can off your plate. And you're going to have a place to live, and that's going to be step one. And then you're going to be able to tell the movers where to go. You're going to be able to concentrate on selling your house. You're going to be able to concentrate on starting your new position on the first. You'll be able to do a lot more when that's taken off your plate. And just hearing, you can hear them on the phone. You can hear the tone of their voice, just like, okay, awesome. That's great. Thank you so much. So I don't know if I have like a specific, but those are really my favorite conversations to have, because at the end of the day, I really, really am helping somebody, and I do love that.
You get it, and you've also moved before. You moved up to the Northeast, so you understand the importance of that. Victoria asked, there are only 7 days in a week. How do you manage to devote a full day to each customer? I think I know how you can answer that. I know how I answered it when I was the agent in Dallas. And Amy Jacobs also says that she'll give you a full day. No 2/3 days there. So if you haven't connected with Amy, do connect with her. But so how do you? I mean, how are you able to do that?
Well, hopefully I get to the point where it's 7 days a week tours and I have to hire somebody. But that's definitely the goal, is to grow Victory and bring on individuals that enjoy helping helping people and helping people find a place to live. But right now it can get really, really busy and it can take up a lot of your day. But I would say most of my tours end up being a half day or less.
Sure.
And the reason for that is because it's apartments and because I know what I'm doing and because I do the prep work prior.
Mm-hmm.
It cuts out the driving around extra or scrambling around like, oh, well, let's go look at this one, or let's go look at this one. I try to narrow everything down to a specific 3 or 4, maybe even 5 properties, but most of the time it's 3 or 4 properties, and we nail it down. And it gets down to that small number of properties because of move-in date.
Right.
Somebody has a start date of September 1st, and they're looking for a top floor unit. They want to be, we've narrowed it down to Deep Ellum, where I'm at today, which, there's some lovely properties I'm at. I got to give them a plug. I'm at Novell, Deep Ellum. This place is beautiful new property.
A great area. Fun area.
It's a beautiful property. But nailing down the right area cuts down the time.
Right. And I was going to say that would be my answer to Victoria as well, that if you do the homework and if you ask people the right questions and you find out what they need, and like you said, even with apartment locating, right, you can go show them a most fabulous apartment at the Christopher, but if they don't have a unit available for the start date, you just wasted their time, you wasted your time, you wasted the apartment leasing agent's time. It's really doing that homework ahead of time, and not. I mean, I had so many times where I would have agents every time that would show me properties that I was not interested in at all. If they had just asked the right questions, they would have never taken me to that property. And it's just a matter of, like you said, doing that footwork. What about you, Annie? Do you have any best mobility advice, or what have you learned from onboarding new talent, and things that other HR managers and relocation managers and global talent acquisition managers might benefit from that you've experienced?
I think that there's a lot of continuity, and you may think of this as individualized resources, when it comes to onboarding experiences. But I always like to think of it all being threaded through very nicely together. And so, there is a real pre-hire process that occurs. And so when that offer is extended, once it's accepted, then that's when things really start to happen, right?
Yeah.
And you're thinking about it in the context of this individual is making a life choice and a life change, and you're a part of that somehow. And so when we direct those individuals to talk with Aaron and to help them, we're already starting to support them in the HKS family that way. So there's already continuity, I think, developed there. So I know from a TA leader standpoint, that is really important, that even before day one, that there's really good care and work put into that individual feeling super comfortable about the decision that they've made, about the city that they now live in, and getting assimilated and acclimated as quickly as possible. And not just to do the work, but to understand what the culture is and what kind of environment they are, entering into, and not just from a neighborhood standpoint, but everything is new. So, we do have to remind ourselves that we've all been in those shoes before too.
Yeah.
We've all been a candidate.
And empathy is everything. There's a great monologue done by, I think it's Plus Relocation, and it's called In Their Shoes. And it's a brilliant description. I don't know if you've seen it before, but a brilliant description of what, and it covers it from the employee's spouse, the employee partner's perspective. And it's so brilliant. And if you, the provider, can understand and see it as a human element, the human and the emotional and the social side of moving, it changes everything, because empathy is everything. So
yeah, there's a real psychology to it.
Yeah, there really is. So I love that. Let's take a break for a second, because I just want to thank everybody for being on here. We've got so many people on here. Annette Walters is here from Dallas. We have Amy Jacobs, who's here, who's a relocation agent in the Dallas-Fort Worth area. We have, and I'm sorry, I can't see who you are. Aaron is great, and his customer service can't be beat. I'm not sure who it says, because I'm not sure.
I paid that person to say that.
Okay, so that's why
that sounds like your mom, Aaron.
Yep. So Fiona is on here, and she said this opportunity to connect with the client, understand them, and show one's understanding is unique. So thanks for your comments. If everybody would just kind of give a big like button, a clap button, and just let them know you appreciate them, Erin and Annie, for taking time to just chat with us today. I appreciate them being here. Erin, I want to go back and just hit just a second on lump sum relocations. I've been a corporate relocation client every time. And I know I love Jack Jample because I know he and Ben Cross had a great show recently about lump sum versus managed moves. I've always been a corporate relocation client. My husband's corporation has always paid for our moves that have always been managed by different RMCs. I love to help employees. I help employees a lot of times negotiate their lump sum client. I just did this recently about 2 months ago with a guy who had gotten a lump sum relocation. We were able to get him $10,000 more because I'm able to see things that he needed to negotiate for that he hadn't thought to ask for to make his move easier. But tell me a little bit about your work with lump sum and how you can benefit a company that may not need to take on a corporate, be an RMC. Maybe they're small, or maybe that's just not their focus is paying.
Well, it could be a company that may or may not need the services of an RMC, but it also could be. I've seen where a company does use an RMC, but they still have a large portion of the employees that still get a lump sum. Especially new hires, college grads. Just low, earlier career positions may not be getting the full packages for relocation, and that's really the cornerstone or really the reason why I started Champion Relocation. The real reason I relaunched Victory Relo is because of that. I saw the need for small, medium, large companies out there that are still offering lump sums to their clients. I don't really have a say or get too much involved in what kind of policies they need to offer or whatnot. But I do know that there's plenty of companies out there that offer lump sums to their clients, and I just want to be a partner. And that's what I love about Annie. She was great because she got it like right away. She's like, "What do you do again?" I'm like, I can offer this to your client, but this is going to be a partnership, and it's no cost to your company. It's an added value. She's like, "Yes, yeah, let's try this." I mean, she got it. She got it right away. It was great. I love her to death.
And I don't know why that's not more of a thing, I'm going to have to say, because I did that for all my clients for lump sum. They found me because of doing this, right? I'm on LinkedIn. I'm doing 10 minutes in 10 days. I'm talking about the challenges of relocation. I've been written up in articles, and people find me and they just call me and they're like, "Okay, I'm moving to Dallas and I don't know what to do." But it makes sense. And I had a small company that I did that with, and they were moving their employees from California. I don't even think they were giving them any money. But that service that the right person can provide, somebody that really understands it, whether they have a relocation company like you do or not, it's a huge value, right?
It really is.
Huge value.
That company.
It is. And I want to echo that, because as the client, there really is no downside to this kind of partnership if you do have the right individual. So all you can do is really enhance the offerings for your new talent, and providing an additional resource that actually can make their life a little bit easier. And I think the authenticity that Erin brings to that process and to that compassion, in that difficult, kind of life change, or maybe not difficult, but it's stressful.
Oh, it's
in some way and difficult, but there really is no downside. So I've always thought that, if we can evangelize this even more, there should be more Erins out there offering this kind of service.
Yeah.
It's a great partnership.
Okay, this is Kathleen Baker. Nope, not as mom. I don't know why. Sometimes if you're not using your computer, or maybe if you're using your computer and not your phone, it doesn't show up who you are as the user. I'm not sure how to make that different, but that's funny. So good. It was not a paid advertisement earlier. That's awesome.
Okay.
That's funny. What about, we can't avoid the elephant in the room, but tell me about the challenges of COVID-19 to global mobility from your perspectives, your different perspectives.
Oh my goodness. Do you want me to tackle that?
How about it? Sure.
So it's definitely raised a lot of challenges, and first being able to the obviously touring properties has been very, very challenging. In the beginning, I would say March, April, maybe through June, wasn't able to tour properties, just cut off completely. So you see a lot of virtual tours, you see a lot of properties stepping up their game, which has helped us. We need the properties' help to showcase what they have available to offer. And so I think there's a lot of properties out there that have done a great job of uploading virtual tours, launching YouTube pages with all of their floor plans. I have some properties that I have relationships with that they will do a FaceTime tour with my client. I could set an appointment with them and they'll actually FaceTime them, walk them through the unit, go through the amenities as well. So it's changed quite a bit. It makes it a little bit tougher to sell a property when a client can't particularly look at it or tour the neighborhood. So that's been challenging. So a lot more phone calls, a lot more video, a lot more Zoom calls. So it's taking a little bit more time than the average deal to get done. It's a lot more to get done.
How about you, Annie? How is it affecting hiring talent and just your business in general with a global company?
Yeah, I mean, it's certainly made an impact. And I don't think this is anything that any of us could have predicted or really prepared for. And so here we are just adjusting and being, pivot, right? Pivot has been a great word, and being really, really agile. But this is an evolution, and without being, too short-sighted about it, there are long-term plans that we're still leaning into that we made last year and that we want to continue to lean into through the end of the year. But even though hiring may have slowed, we are still always recruiting. And so we're still developing all those relationships. And so, again, in an effort to not be short-sighted, those hires may not happen this year. They may not happen in the first quarter of next year. But these are relationships that we're building, and we're all in the relationship building, networking, and connecting kind of business. So even if it doesn't happen today, we do expect that it will happen at some point. And so we'll need those resources and those partnerships to really be maintained.
Real quick, end on a positive note, silver linings in 2020. It can be personal, it can be professional. Any silver linings that you have found this year?
So, I actually do think that I probably have a chronic case of finding silver linings in every single kind of situation, really a sickness. However, I will say that I think this has been a year that a lot of us have spent recalibrating and kind of assessing and taking stock, in where we are currently, and whether that's in your family, in your career, but you're taking stock. And it's been, I think, great for just personal and individualized recalibration. I know that's a real big picture thing. But,
I'm a hopeful as well. So
yeah, you can relate.
I totally relate. My husband rolls his eyes at me a lot because I'm always like, no, it's half full and it's probably going to overflow. So how about you, Aaron?
I think a lot of self-reflection as well, on a business standpoint, reevaluating and looking at other options, not relying on normal circumstances for how I conduct business. As you guys know, I'm a big networker. I miss my lunches with Annie. I've missed my lunch with you. This is stuff that I used to do on the daily to keep busy. And so I've had to just look at other ways to stay busy and look at different avenues to grow.
Yeah, it is hard for those of us that are people persons. It's definitely, that's challenging. Well, I appreciate y'all being here so much. Annie, I love the fact that you understand that your job goes much further than just hiring the talent and onboarding them. It's really understanding the emotional and the social and the personal needs of those clients. And I'm so glad that you found Aaron, and y'all have been able to partner together to make sure that employees that choose your company are able to acclimate to Dallas easily. Aaron, I love what you do. I've enjoyed sending clients to you, like my friend Rachel West, who I know you took very good care of, and others. And I appreciate that. So any last thoughts?
I'm grateful for the opportunity. Thank you so much. I love you to death. Obviously, you better call me when you come to town so we can meet up.
I want to know where I haven't eaten sushi in Dallas that you can show me.
Yeah, we're gonna go grub, and Annie, I'm gonna see you soon.
Yes, yes. We're definitely all foodies here.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Well, I really appreciate your time. If you're watching today, connect with Annie, connect with Aaron. Aaron and Annie, I would suggest you go on and connect with some of the people that have commented today because they're all great. A number of people in the mobility industry, clients, people that love Dallas, people that are in Paris and the Philippines and London. Really appreciate you being on here, listening and taking the time to learn a little bit more about whether it's the questions you need to ask if you're the relocation client or if you're the relocation provider to ensure that your clients get connected to the right resources when you're onboarding them into a new company. So thank you so much for your time. Thanks everybody for being here. Again, appreciate your time. So y'all have a great day. Bye-bye.
Bye.